Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of For the Record. I'm gonna be doing my first review ever, and it's for Childish Gambino's new album 3/15/20, which is assumably named after the date that it came out on March 15th. So let's get into it. This is Childish Gambino's fourth studio album, and it comes after the release of Awaken My Love, which did extremely well. You guys might remember the song Redbone was a huge hit. And in this album, we have features by Ariana Grande, 21 Savage, and his longtime collaborator Ludwig Göransson. The songs on this album are really long for the most part. I actually had to keep going back while I was taking notes and check that the next song hadn't passed because I felt like there were 3 different songs in one song because the sections are just like really different. All of the tracks on this album except for the songs Time and Algorithm have these number, ratio, time of the day, set up sort of titles. And at first I really wasn't sure why he did that, and I thought that they were meant to signify times of the day. But then you get songs like 24:19 and 42:26, and as you start listening to the album and you get these trippy industrial sort of beats, you start to maybe realize that these titles are significant because they're talking about a time outside of reality. Or at least that's how I started to interpret it after I started to pay attention a little bit more to the sounds in the album. It's these R&B pop melodies that are confronted with hard industrial beats and sometimes a little bit of funk rock. And of course, there's also his signature avant-garde sort of style that he implements because his music is obviously a child of the internet. I think like one of his albums is even called Because the Internet. He really is one of those artists that goes outside of the box, and it actually reminds me a lot of Pink Floyd in the way that all of the songs are woven into each other, and at least the first 3 songs really go into each other. That kind of style of weaving in and out and making the arrangements so eloquent that they go into and out of each other really marks why he is a special artist and the caliber of skills that he has, because not every artist can do that, obviously. The first thing I noticed in terms of the vibe of the album is that it was full of nostalgia, innocence, and paradox. I felt like while I was listening to it, I was literally being taken back in time through the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. I feel like he did this really well because he brought in gospel choirs, he had really soulful melodies in his vocals. He also even brought in like this little girl, which I'm gonna presume is his daughter. It's not his daughter, actually, it's his son. He has 2 sons. My bad. To talk a little bit at the end of one of the tracks and talk about all of the things that she loved and how she loved herself. All of those things bring out a feeling of innocence, a feeling of like memories and take me back, which I feel is always really effective in music because it's supposed to take you somewhere else. And what better place to take you than somewhere that maybe you've been to or maybe that even your parents have told you about. So I feel like he did that through bringing in church, because a lot of musicians first get their taste of music in church. I feel like he did that really well by EQing out his vocals and not making them the center of the tracks. He also did that through doing this like vocal compression effect that makes the vocals sound a lot more vintage, so it sounds muffled, and all of those elements put together really brought out that nostalgia and that innocence. Now, why do I talk about paradox? Because throughout his songs and throughout many of his past works, he uses a lot of like hard electronic beats, and like in the song Algorithm in particular, he has this like deep menacing voice that he's rapping with, that it even sounds like a robot. And then he comes out of those like robotic, menacing verses with this beautiful pop, soft chorus. And then the song becomes like sort of mysterious. Instead of like completely menacing and just completely pop, it's somewhere in the middle, where I like to call the mystery land. Another song where paradox is really, really apparent is the song 3531. And I feel like this song really reminded me a lot of This Is America, in that it sounds really light when he's singing, ooh, tell somebody we gon' tell. I don't know the words, but that part is like a little bit more airy and like pop. And he's still talking about really, really heavy subjects. Well, he does the same thing in 3531. It sounds very like boppy. It almost sounds like it could be licensed for like a kids camp commercial or something like that. But in actuality, he's talking about how to move yay, how to move this weight, how to hide the money, put it in the safe. And obviously that touches on some really, really heavy subject matter, which is using kids essentially as mules. So again, he's using this like really, really nice, like fun sounding track against dark subject material. And I think he does a really, really good job of that, because to a child who's listening to that, it's like they go along with it. Kind of like how they would go along with an adult telling them like, here, put this in your diaper and run off to your neighbor's house, give it to them, make sure that they give you the money. Like, they're gonna say yes because their trusted adult is telling them to. Just how this song kind of brings out the idea that you can trust it, that you can dance along to it without thinking too much about it. Some other noteworthy songs that I want to talk about are Time, 2419, and 4226. I thought that these were the best songs of the album. The song Time has this beautiful sort of indie, full of reverb kind of guitar, and that's the song that Ariana Grande is featured on, and her voice brings this like beautiful sweetness to it, which I just absolutely loved. 2419 was really special too, because it felt like it was two songs in one, and in the second half it just has this beautiful choir with harps and like whooshes. I don't know, it just sounded like really, really beautiful. And lastly, 4226 just like has a really, really nice vibe. I felt like the heat when he is talking about how he feels like summer, but I also felt that way because of the track. Like the beat was very like samba-ish and very, very cool. Like it just felt like I automatically had my sunglasses on, you know? Honorable mention, 3928, because those lyrics were deep. Amazing lyrics. 3829. 2 shots in a body for what? If I could just be at home with you, I miss you. It's just like, oh, all the feels. I loved that song. Now, the last song on the album I also thought was really important to talk about, because I feel like it confronts us with the question of how will we, the audience, live our life in love? What are you gonna do when the devil comes knocking at your door? Are you gonna live your life in love? Are you going to live your life in peace? And are you gonna do what you want? And I feel like those are some of the most important questions of life. I think that if you don't live your life in love, then you're living it in fear. And basically, he's using that same fear, which motivates so many of us, and he's telling us, live your life in love. Do whatever you want. Overall, I would give this album a 7. I think it's extremely sophisticated in the way that it was arranged, and production-wise, it just felt like every single element that was put in there was put in on purpose. It was put in with a lot of thought. The lyrics were absolutely genius. I love that in one of the songs, he says, she just laughed and touched my face. She put her finger on my two lips. I thought the imagery in a lot of the ballads was just on point. Overall, it just feels really cohesive as well with his past albums, and he's just, he's done it again. Childish Gambino is arguably one of the most talented artists out there right now because he's a triple threat, quadruple threat, I don't know, infinity threat. This guy can do it all. He's probably gonna get into movies after this because apparently Childish Gambino is no more. We all think that this might actually be his last album, and we hope not. But if it is, I know that he's never gonna stop. He'll actually probably just make a new artist name and start a new project. Who knows? He might even come out with like classical music or something like that. We don't know, but I'm anxious to find out. I can't wait to see what's next from him. And yeah, that's my review. If you guys liked this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to know when I'm uploading, which as of now is on Wednesdays and Fridays. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys next time.